Okay, go ahead.
Ok, ciao, cara. Sono anch'io italiana, ciao, I'm Italian journalist, how are you? I wanted to ask about the character of Ada, because she feels guilty about masturbating, and so she punishes herself by eating chicken shit, and then she goes to the confessional, and she wants to be a priest, and then ends up being a nun. So, can you describe that aspect of the religion being repressive of sexuality, but also part of the life of these people?
Yeah, it's not just, I wouldn't say that this, I mean, it's part of the life and of the epoch, but of course it's also part of the gender, because if you think Ada shares with the father the same erotic book, but for the father, watching that book means smoking a cigarette, and for her it means eating chicken poo. So it's different, because of course she doesn't allow herself to feel desire, because she knows that in a way it's really a Catholic world, and in a world in which the female desire is not even imagined. And you cannot tell these things in that epoch. You cannot even tell really clearly that you have menstruation, because your body is dirty, and she doesn't want to marry, because otherwise for 40 days she cannot go to the church, which is the only place where she's listened to, which is incredible. You give birth, and it's very painful, and you also have to stay home because you're dirty. So of course it's like it really has to do with the epoch. I think she's really an intense character. I think about her with sentence by it's called The Silent Volcan. Emily Dickinson had this sentence in a poem, and I always think about Ada like a silent volcano. She's volcano. Yeah, sorry for my English. I really think she's very intense, but she cannot, of course, she cannot say and express what she wants. And I think she's interesting because she has a lot of inner life, more than others. The only moment in which we can see her expressing a little bit more is when she meets Virginia. But there also it's a matter for me of solitudes that meet, more than this sexual. Of course, there's this sexual and this attraction, but it's most of all these outsiders that meet, and find their place in a society in which it is difficult to find your own place. And at the end, she respects the codes of the epoch, but paradoxically, she finds her freedom in the cluster. Like she finds what Virginia Woolf would have named a room of her own, in a place that now we consider something that it's kind of a prison, no? But for her it's freedom, because she would have maybe married and have children, she couldn't have studied, even not smoke at all. And so I think in a way she's a very modern character, but I had to respect, of course, the codes of the epoch. So I think all her struggle has to do with the epoch and the gender and her intensity.
Do we have any other questions from our audience? If you raise your hands, we'll...
Hi.
Sorry? Okay, yes, go ahead.
Hi. First of all, I wanted to say how amazing this movie is. And my question is kind of specific. I'm a great fan of Andrei Diaghilev and Mikhail Krichman, of course, and I was really impressed by, and I mean this as the biggest compliment ever, how similar this movie is visually, and also some things to one of his movie is the Mania, which is the banishment. So my question to you is, are there any references to that movie? Because there are a lot of ideas in common if you think of the idea of society, the idea of repression, the idea of relationship with the men that, I mean, in the 90s in post-Soviet Union place that had more rights than a woman, and also, of course, the idea of birth and femininity.
I love The Banishment, and I like all Andrei's films. No, there's nothing direct, but they also named Olmi and other references. I think that one can see what you love as a director, what you loved, what you saw and you loved, and maybe it comes out. So I never have specific cinematic references. I have more literary and photographing and paintings references. I know that also Andrei works a lot with paintings, but no, there was not. Even with Mikhail, we didn't speak directly about. But yeah, I think it's because maybe we share some ideas of cinema and what we love, and maybe you saw this.
Thank you.
I think I saw a hand. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you so much for your gorgeous film. Now knowing that this is where you're from, perhaps this won't be relevant, but it looked like it's such an epic film, and it looked, the circumstances of the place looked like a difficult place to shoot. And so I'm always curious to hear about the making of something, and so I was hoping that you could tell us a little bit about, how long you shot for, what it meant to shoot there, for you personally, but also logistically and practically, and if there was anything that just wasn't possible, perhaps because of where it was.
Yeah, you're right, because a film is also what production allows. It was productive-wise very, very, very difficult. Also because we didn't have a great budget, so I shot this film in less than 6 weeks, which is nothing if you consider that I had babies, beasts, children, snow, non-professionals. It was really a fight against the time. And yeah, and the place is not easy. And also, since it had to be 1944, we really had to have the snow. It was not like this little snow we have now. So we were really up. We were 2,000 meters, and this means the crew has his feet wet, and everyone is wanting to go home, and you lose time to go there, and you can just go with certain cars that just 5 people enter. It's very technical things, but and everyone was wearing old ancient clothes, not technical modern clothes for cold. So yeah, it was very difficult. I had to cut a lot of things. Fortunately, I shoot with very few plans, and so this is my luck, because I just choose 1 or 2, and then I have all the time to give to. And the other thing is that I prepare a lot. I work a lot before. I work a lot with, I do casting very alone before the real casting process begins. 1 year before, I do scouting location alone before, because while I'm writing, I want to get inspired by the places, so I go to the territory. I had this house of my grandfather, and I stayed there a long time to write in a sensorial way, with the 5 senses there, to have them on the screen, possibly. So this helps because then it was difficult, but at least we had also the territory with us, the people wanting to help us. You have to cut a tree, and there's the woodcutter that helps you. There's things, it's not like, okay, we come there and we do a film. I have been spending months and months there, and at the end it helped a lot, this productive-wise difficult film.
I think we have time for just one more question. I see a hand back there. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I would like to know about the father in the film.
Yes.
Is he originally from that village, or he ended up to teach in that village? Because he doesn't seem to be like the rest of the villagers.
But because he's like a very strange figure. He's inspired by my grandfather. It's a strange figure because the roots are peasants, but we never knew why he had this cultural interest, trying to get books coming from the city, discs coming from the city, like, you know, culture arriving to the top of the mountain. And so, of course, he's an outsider himself. He also has this, he's ancient and modern, because his pedagogy, for example, at that time, teachers were like hitting your hands. And he brings culture to the school, and at the same time, of course, then he's really like the pater familias, the old time, but he's really a mixed character. That's why it was difficult to find the right actor, and I spent with Tommaso Ragno, we spent a lot of time in the place, because a lot of actors come from the zone, but Tommaso didn't. But I asked him to come, and we stayed in the bars with the people, because I was always telling him, you're special, you have this particularity, but you come from there. You're still a mountain man. So we worked a lot on this ordinary man that has something extraordinary.
Thank you, everyone, for the wonderful questions and being a wonderful audience. And yes, please continue. Once again, Maura Delpero.
Thank you.